The handstand push-up is one of the coolest body weight exercises.
I don't think it's super advanced, but I definitely don't think it's a beginner move. I spent the last 30 days documenting my progress to see if I could learn this in 1 month. Let's see how it went. All right, everybody. It is day number 1 of practicing for the handstand push-up attempt. My ultimate goal by the end of this challenge is to be able to do like 5 in a row. So we're gonna try it out, see how it looks. Day number 1, let's do it. Here we go. So the first day actually went surprisingly well, and I feel like after this point, it went downhill for quite some time. That's always been my problem, is I can go down, but I just cannot come back up. I think most days I was really just struggling with my form overall, controlling my descent. I felt like I was constantly like wobbling, falling over as soon as I tried to lower myself down, and have very little pushing strength to get myself back up. All right, definitely went better than I was expecting, but I still have a lot of work to do. Clean it up, make it consistent, do them a lot better. So at first, basically, I just tried sending it every single day without much of a strategy or a plan in place. I just wanted to get in there, try to handstand push up as many times as I could, and get out. But after watching a lot of calisthenics athletes break down the move, watched a lot of tutorials, cues on forms, things like that, I started to break it down into different pieces. So the first thing that I decided to focus on was controlling my descent, because I felt like this makes up about 50% of the movement, and it was a good place for me to start. Now at this stage, my main goal was to have a nice, smooth, controlled descent, and honestly, it meant slowing it way down, because I wanted to have control over the entire lowering of my body. So it would usually take me anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds to completely lower myself down to the point where I felt like it was a sufficient depth, and then try to push myself back up, although I usually wasn't able to press up. So after a few days of practicing, I realized how arched my back was looking during the video attempts. So usually I would go in, practice, film myself, and then review the footage just to see what it looked like. And day after day, I felt like my back was still really arched, and I felt like that was disrupting the smooth path for me to take in order to complete a rep. So I figured I could spend some time working on straightening out my handstand, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I started doing some belly to wall handstand drills, really thinking about pushing my stomach up against the wall, shrugging through my shoulders to get a little more thoracic extension, and tucking my chin just to make my back as straight as possible. Now, I still have a decent curve left even here, but it's definitely better, and I felt like I was able to carry this over after spending some days practicing. Some other drills that I found to be a little bit helpful were practicing with my feet elevated onto something. So I tried some with my feet up against the wall, kind of sliding down and pushing myself back up. I also tried a couple of drills where my feet were sitting on top of a tall box or a ledge, and that way most of my body weight was over my arms still, so I could press the majority of my weight, but my feet were helping me stay nice and balanced against the wall. Some days I felt like I was making some progress, but some days I felt like I was regressing. It was this constant up and down cycle, and it was very frustrating at times, that's for sure. All right, it's technically day 16 because I skipped yesterday, day 15, but I'm feeling pretty good today. I feel like I've been making real good progress overall. There's a decent chance I'm gonna be able to pull one off, so I think I got this. I don't know, I just got this feeling. Let's see. All right, day 15, I felt like I gained significantly more control than my attempts from day number 1. I had spent about 2 weeks at this point and really wanted to be able to do 1 full rep after like 15 days of consistent training. I didn't go down quite as far that time, but not bad. Unfortunately, I was not able to do it at this point, but that's all right. I still had half the challenge left. Cold. So just after I finished my 2-week mark is around when I hit my first actual complete rep of a controlled descent and a controlled ascent, maintaining my balance at the top. Of course, this is from a slightly different angle. The one time I decided to film a different angle is the one time that I actually do it. So, like I mentioned, the reason I consider this one to be my first successful attempt is because I was still balanced on my way back up. When I got to the top of the rep, I did not feel like I was gonna fall over, unlike previous attempts where I did complete a full handstand push-up, but I fell over at the top. This was like a huge milestone for me. It made me really excited to keep going, but it was very inconsistent from here on out because some days I would continue to practice, again, not being able to do it, and then some days I was still able to do a controlled rep at the top. But with practice, every single day, gradually, I was able to be more and more consistent with balancing at the top of the motion, a nice controlled descent, nice controlled ascent, maintaining my balance at the top. It was quite challenging to figure out the mechanics of this movement, which we'll get into a little bit later, but once I started to get a better understanding of it, I felt like I was able to do this more consistently. And gradually, after a while of practicing my one rep, I felt like I was comfortable enough to attempt the second rep, and it actually took pretty close to about day number 25 until I was able to successfully complete 2 handstand push-ups in a row. Again, form isn't necessarily the best, but this was the first time I was able to do it, and I felt really good about that. Obviously, as you can see, I was pretty excited. This was like super late at night in my hallway too. So I was practicing in the gym, at home, outside, like literally wherever I could do it is where I practiced. So right here, I want to point out is where I figured out the key to maintaining my balance on the way back up. So if you guys have been watching my form so far, you've been seeing a lot of different variations. Probably looks more controlled, less controlled, depending on the setting. And so this, I think, is a really good example of what I was doing in order to maintain my balance. So basically, I figured out how to use my legs as a counterbalance to swing myself back up. Now, I watched a lot of videos and things like that, and people have different methods of the direction of their path of movement, or you know, how straight, how vertical they are versus like slanted and stuff like that. And I realized you do need to use your legs as a counterbalance. I just couldn't figure out the mechanics of it yet. So for me, that kind of meant excessively arching my back a little bit to get my feet over my head, and that'll help me push my weight back up, because otherwise I just kept launching myself backwards. This is a huge problem that I had throughout the entire 30-day challenge, and to be honest, I still have it when I go to practice, is I end up just pushing myself back, and that really throws me off. Again, I've been practicing a lot. I feel like this was the easiest way to correct that for me personally, but we'll get into a little bit more of that at the end of the video. Eventually, after a lot of falling, a lot of failing, constantly not getting hit, I was finally able to do 2 consecutive push-ups in a row. And at this point, I was determined to get 3 reps in a row by the end of this 30-day challenge. I did not know if I was gonna be able to, but that was my ultimate goal. Now that I knew I could do more than 1, I felt like, why can't I do 3? All right, day 27/28, not sure about the time here. This was by far my best attempt up until this point. So I happen to be filming a completely separate video, with which, if you want to check that out, I'll link it right up here. It's a full day of eating for my bodybuilding, so make sure you go watch that. But I filmed my calisthenics workout, and in this workout, I decided to send my handstand push-ups. And so first try right here, I did about 2.5 reps, kind of came down to the bottom, started going back up, and just, you know, fell over like always. Now, since I still had several days left at this point, I thought it was gonna be pretty easy to get to 3 reps from there. I was wrong. All right, today is day 29 of my 30-day handstand push-up challenge progression video, whatever you want to call it. Just got home from work. I don't know if you guys can see my breath. It's literally like 30 degrees outside. It is freezing, but we're gonna try to see how many we can do. Yesterday, I actually got 2.5, which is like my first time ever controlling the second push-up. Usually, I always fall down, getting back up on the second time. So we're gonna try to do 2.5, maybe 3 today. I really wanna hit 3 either today or tomorrow. So that is the goal, but we've only got like 24 hours left of this challenge. Let's see what we can do. The next 2 days were honestly the most frustrating and difficult days of the entire challenge, because I felt like I was regressing all the way back to day one, and I did not understand why. Like literally, day one, I felt super new, obviously, because it was the first time trying it. And then I just spent almost 4 weeks practicing, and now I just I couldn't even do one. I couldn't even do one handstand push-up, where 2 days ago, I did almost 3 reps. So right here, I felt like I had regressed a lot. I was really getting frustrated and also putting myself under a lot of pressure in order to get this by the end of the 30 days. And then we finally made it to day 30. All right, today is day number 30 out of my 30-day handstand push-up challenge. Yesterday did not go well. I tried some this morning in the gym. They also were quite abysmal, so this is my last chance here. My goal is 3 in a row because I've done about 2.5 so far. If we can get 3, that is awesome. If not, we're just gonna make the most out of it. Now for day number 30, I was very frustrated from the last few days, and I needed to exhaust every possible avenue, which meant I did attempts in the morning before my workout and before I went to work, and then after I got home from work, I filmed it again because the morning, as you can see here, just went horribly. It was awful. I could not maintain my balance at all whatsoever, could barely even do 1 push-up, and I was so frustrated. This is the end of my 30-day challenge. I thought, is this really what my world has come to? I regressed so far. So I finished my workout, went to work all day, came home, started to film, and then it finally happened. Let's go. I was trying to be really quiet here because I didn't want to like be loud and disrupt the neighbors, but I was so freaking excited that I finally got 3 in a row. Last day of the challenge, nothing like putting yourself under pressure and barely skating by. All right, that was attempt number 2. I've literally only been out here like 60 seconds so far, but guys, that was 3. I definitely wish I could have controlled the 3rd rep a little bit more, but I did do my solid 3. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. You know, honestly, the last 2 days, I honestly did not think I was gonna be able to do this. All right, I'm gonna give it one more attempt to see if I can make it look any prettier, but other than that, it's cold out here. These are turning into glass cutters. It's time to go inside and warm up. Look at that sunset. Beautiful, ain't it? Now just a quick comparison here from day 30 all the way back to day 0. Not only did my number of repetitions improve, but I feel like my form on this significantly improved as well. I understood the technique much better at this point, and overall I just made so much progress. We're gonna go into that in just a second. We're gonna go into my top 3 tips on how I would start over this process again, knowing what I know now after spending the last month practicing. But first, I want to give you my biggest takeaway. So my biggest takeaway from this process is progress does not always look like this. It's not always a straight line. Progress sometimes looks like this. Up and down, up and down, up and down, gradually going up. And that is to a T exactly what I experienced during this process. All right, now here are my 3 biggest tips for anyone who wants to start learning the handstand push-up. Take it from me, someone who just spent every single day the last month trying to do it. This is what I would recommend. Tip number 1, make sure your handstand is solid. All right, like your freestanding handstand needs to be really good if you're gonna try to do a handstand push-up. Obviously, it takes a lot of strength, but it also takes a lot of balance. Now, my handstand form is by far not perfect. It's still not that good, but it's good enough for me to get through a few handstand push-ups. What I would spend more time focusing on if I was gonna redo this process is address the issues that I saw with my handstand first before I tried to gain the pressing strength and the technique. Really think about straightening your back out if you have more of that arched back like I do, a little bit of a banana handstand. Think about trying to make it nice and pretty and try to do different shapes to really show that you have control over your handstand. You can move your legs around, you can control your body while it's in the air and not fall over. That is the first thing you should focus on. All right, tip number 2, this was probably my favorite drill of the entire process that I wish I started sooner and I wish that I did more consistently and overall did more of, was the belly to wall drills. All right, now the reason I think this is so much better than the back to wall drills is because, at least if you're gonna do it in a calisthenics fashion with this slight slanted downwards angle like I was showing here, this is going to help you understand the path of motion much better than the back to wall. All right, the back to wall is going to be more of a vertical pressing motion. You're going to be a lot more restricted and have to press straight up and down, whereas this one, it allows you to slide your upper body forward and then reorient on its way back up. So what I would focus on for this is get yourself fairly close to the wall and see if you can do it with maybe one foot in contact. Just slide down, use your arms, push back up. Think about reaching your feet back over your head, like I mentioned earlier, to use a counterbalance system to make it easier to push yourself back up. Now, chances are you're gonna end up pushing yourself straight backwards like I did for many of my attempts, and if that's the case, your feet are just gonna go right into the wall and you'll slide back up and it'll be fine. But that's probably the most useful drill that you can use in order to understand what path your body should follow, because it's very disorienting to learn in the air. All right, and tip number 3, last tip for you guys. This one should go without saying. Do not put yourself under pressure for meeting a timeline like I did. Obviously, this was for a video. I thought it'd be a cool challenge, so that's why I did it. But if you don't pressure yourself with time and you just let it take effect, you're gonna enjoy the process so much more. It's gonna be way more fun, way more exciting, and a lot less stress. So when it comes to my handstand push-up, I know I definitely have a lot of practice to do still, but I'm very happy with my progress overall. I hope you guys can see the difference that I made in the last 30 days. So if I can do it, you guys can do it too. Trust me, I spent a max of 10 minutes per day practicing this, and before attempting it on day 1, I never honestly tried this before. So if you've got a handstand and you want to learn handstand push-up, you can definitely do it. You just gotta be a little bit smart about how you progress. Try to be smarter than me. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, because over a months of hard work went into filming this and editing this, and subscribe if you want to see a future 30-day challenge. By the way, comment down below what challenge you think I should take on next. I've already got one in the making, but I want to hear from you for future videos. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get to 3,000 subscribers, where we're getting really close. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.